back to Adventures Beyond Adversity. And I don't know if you can tell by the thumbnail or maybe this background back here, but we did it again. Ben said that he was never going to go on Mickey Minnie's Runaway Railway again.
I didn't lie.
But
I was wrong.
Yes. Well, we didn't have all the information. So we went on Mickey and Minnie's, I would say pretty early on.
Day it opened.
Day it opened. And based on the information that we were given, the only thing that was offered to us for him to be able to transfer into the ride vehicle was a step. That is exactly how it was put to us by the cast member. I have this step. And, of course, Ben said I can't use the step. And she said that was all they had at that time. Now, since we've posted that video originally of him trying to get on this ride with the step, there have been some of you out there that have told us that you are disabled yourselves and you've tried to go on the ride and you were offered a transfer device. So because of that feedback, Ben decided that...
To try it again.
Yeah, to try it again.
Yeah.
And so we did. And before we get into that experience, let's just recap how horrible it was the first time and why Ben said that he would never try it again. Like we said, all they offered us was a step into the ride vehicle. There's already a step to get into it, to get down, and you have to step to get out of the ride vehicle.
Right.
There is no wheelchair accessible ride vehicle. And so really the step really wasn't going to do anything to help somebody who's paralyzed. It's, either you're stepping down off the ride vehicle step ledge or using this transfer step. So he didn't use it. And if you saw the other video, you'll know what a hard time Ben had, especially getting out, I would say. So you'll see that he did have a hard time getting out of the vehicle. He sat on the edge of the ride vehicle to get out of it, which isn't actually that different. You'll see coming up here, that's not that different, what they do with the transfer device. But he did end up hitting his head that first time, trying to, push himself out of the vehicle. And there's a handrail right there, right when you're trying to get out of the vehicle. And so having this feedback that there is a transfer device, we decided we needed to do a different review, try it again. And so you're going to see that footage in a second. But before we get into that, I think that whether there is a transfer step or a transfer bench, which isn't really what this is, that's what some people have called it. It's not really a bench where you can slide into this vehicle easily or anything. I think we want to talk about some of the other modifications for ride vehicles and just kind of why this particular choice that they've made for Mickey and Minnie's is so disappointing. You're going to see here a couple of different options that they have for other ride vehicles. First of all, let's take Rise of the Resistance. Even that's pretty comparable to Mickey and Minnie's, right? I mean, it's pretty new. It's a trackless ride vehicle, right. Very similar ride vehicle. Although the seat is not as low as it is for Mickey and Minnie's, so it's easier to slide in anyway. But it does have that wall. On the the ride vehicle does have a wall, but in the case of Rise of the Resistance,
it opens.
Yeah, it folds down. So it folds out, either way.
It
has a hinge.
It opens up.
It has a hinge. So you're going to see that here, and how that makes it easier for Ben to transfer in and out of the ride vehicle because that side wall folds down or folds out. Yeah. He can just transfer directly straight from his chair onto the seat, and you know what? That's not going to work for everybody. Because there are people that do need to stay in their wheelchair. Yeah. And that is a reality, that not all ride vehicles in Disneyland work for everyone. But it is a step in the right direction, and it was something that worked for Ben and works for a lot of people. Makes it at least easier. But the other thing that they do have, certain vehicles are completely wheelchair accessible. I mean,
Midway Mania.
There's Midway Mania, and you'll see here the example that we're going to show you is Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters in Disneyland. And that's a ride vehicle where you can just stay in your wheelchair and roll right on and off. Makes it very easy, for somebody in a wheelchair who's disabled that cannot transfer. Maybe is on like a ventilator, tubes, things like that can't be disconnected.
Yep.
And I could see why in some in some cases that can't happen. It may be for safety. Like for Rise of the Resistance, it does have a drop, so maybe that might be a safety issue.
Yeah.
Being able to stay in the wheelchair. But Mickey and Minnie's, it does swing you around a lot, but I think, I'm not an engineer, but I think that they could have done something like that.
The second time we went on it,
Yeah.
I noticed that it wasn't as jerky.
That was definitely a problem we had the first time. It was very jerky. And I think we mentioned in that first video that we do know somebody that injured themselves, had a leg injury because of how jerky the ride was. And yeah, I noticed that too. The second time it didn't seem as jerky. So maybe that could be a reason why you can't stay in your wheelchair. But I mean, really, I don't know. I don't think, I mean, there's no drop. I think that might be the main issue why you can't on Rise, but
Yeah.
I think that they could lock you in place. I think that they could build a ride vehicle, lock you in place, and I think that could be okay. I mean, there's several different rides that they do that, and I think it does kind of whip you around a little bit on Midway Mania. You whip around kind of a little bit,
Around
going
the
from
corner
around
to
the
corner.
corners to get
Yeah.
each section of it. So I mean, there are little whips and turns on that.
Yeah.
It just kind of boggles my mind that they can't at least have the hinged door like on Rise, because Rise is the most comparable ride. And the fact that we're getting pushback from, and it's not from able-bodied people. A lot of you, our friends, have been very supportive of what we, what happened to Ben. It's been from a lot of disabled people, which is very surprising. About, well, it worked for me, or it's good enough. It was good enough for me.
Mediocrity on something like this, especially with a $1 billion+ company, isn't good enough.
No, and just the fact that they are touting this whole land and the ride is completely accessible.
It's not.
And we're gonna have a kind of an overview of the land itself too, and show how there are things that are not accessible about the land overall. And it's just, they're patting themselves on the back, and it's missing the mark. The whole land, and especially the ride. There's just so many things that they could have done to make this this ride more inclusive. And you're going to see here, what happened when we went on it the second time. The second time, the cast member did actually offer a transfer device. The wording was very different from the first time. The first time was just a step, and they said that was all they had.
Yep.
I know some people were getting on us in the comments about the wording and saying that there's a transfer device and that we should have asked for it. They said all they had was a step. This time we were immediately offered a transfer device, and we said sure, then we'll try that. Part of that did include the step, which Ben did not need to use very much. I mean, I think that wasn't the most important part of it.
No, well, this time I used the step more than I did the transfer device.
Did you? Well,
Yes.
getting in.
Getting out is a totally different
Getting in.
story.
Yeah, getting out was
Getting
the hardest part.
Yes.
Getting out was the part where you needed to use that seat, and you're going to see that here. Getting in, you were able to use that step to kind of just
Put my
hop
feet
in.
in.
You
Yeah.
hopped in basically, and it wasn't that bad. But getting out of this ride, I think, is the problem, because you have to pull yourself up and out.
It's very difficult.
Yeah, and whether that transfer little board is there on the ride wall or not, it doesn't seem like it really makes that much of a difference. You're still sitting on the outer wall of this ride.
You're hopping over a wall.
Yeah.
I don't hop.
You have to pull yourself up twice, and
Yeah.
you're going to see here that the video stops. Ben needed my assistance because part of what you have to do is you have to pull your legs up. He had to pull his legs up, and over whether that step was there or not, there's a lip. There's a step to get up and out of this ride, and so I had to help pull his legs out.
Yep.
which isn't really assisted by the step or the transfer device. And so that was pretty difficult. And he had to pull himself out, and it is hard. And I think it's pointless. I think it's...
Calm down.
It's making me just as mad as it did the first time when he hit his head. Because I think that this is just needless difficulty for a disabled person to have to go through in 2023. And they're giving themselves a pat on the back, saying it's totally accessible, and it's not.
It's not.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
I mean,
it's in my opinion, it's laughable at how bad it is.
Yeah.
And people are accepting it.
They sent us a video. A friend of ours sent us a video who has the same disability as us, showing us that she made it work for her, and she made it sound like it was easy, because this is when she's telling us, okay, there was a transfer device that we were not offered. So she sent us a video showing us herself getting out of this thing.
To a certain point.
And it cuts off at the same place where our video cuts off. And it's because of the fact that, just like Ben, she needed her friend to help her pull her legs out, I think. It looked like, because her legs are slipping off of this thing, off of the step. And she needed her friend to help her, and so the friend had to stop the video, and just like I did, and help her out. Mm-hmm. So what if you're a disabled person that didn't go with somebody, that wants to be able to ride by yourself, and how are you going to get out? It makes me so mad. Do you have any thoughts now that I've gotten all my thoughts out of the way?
Oh, I have many, but a lot of them are not Disney friendly.
Yeah, it's disappointing.
It's sad.
They're going out of their way to come up to us to tell us it's accessible.
Yeah.
It's just not. And so we gave it another shot. This is gonna be the last time that he goes on it.
Either ever again, or until they fix it.
Disney needs to fix it. There's no reason why they didn't do an accessible vehicle, at least with that hinge. Except for the fact that the ADA gives you a loophole. ADA says that for theme parks, they do encourage theme parks to make accessible vehicles where somebody can stay in their wheelchair, but if they decide not to, that as long as they have a transfer bench, that's acceptable. I don't call this a transfer bench. It involves steps. It involves something where somebody that has no mobility in their arms can't get in.
Yeah, if you've got a weak upper body, you can't push yourself up. Mm-hmm. If you need help with it, you're not going to be able to ride this ride. And a lot of people have found that out so far.
Yes, we've had people in our comments in the first video telling us that they wish they had found our video sooner, because it would have saved them a lot of trouble trying to get on and off of that ride.
Yeah.
So we hope that this video saves you some headache. And, and we hope that, you appreciate that we did give this another try and be fair based on the feedback that we got. And if you have any, more feedback for us, if you enjoyed this video, leave a comment, give us a thumbs up, give us a thumbs down, whatever you feel. Subscribe, and turn on the notifications to learn more about our adventures, and see if Ben hits his head on trying to get on another ride.
No.
And remember,
adventure is out there.